could be a season simple and clear. With new memories we can hold it tight. From when we met, I think my heart had been set. Not sure what could come to be. Singing my heart's melody, I can't stop it yet, not if I try. So I'll reach for you and all the pain that's new. I'll give a name, something good and true, but no duration. Until the day we come to feel the same. I'll keep it close, all this love I hold, my new sensation. Take a deep breath within my heart, and this is my start. Even voices low, not knowing where to go. Fate has a way of making changes with no clues. Thinking what could be and what tomorrow will bring makes my heart race, thinking it's with you. When I'm alone and feeling down and alone, I will run and hold you tight. Leave my worries far behind. Don't stay where you are when there's the sky. Fly high, so hurry on. These feelings won't take long. They'll soon be free, and the love will flow into emotions. A simple dream won't satisfy this need. To call you mine, I want you to find the words unspoken. So just take a leap of faith and see. I'm begging you, please. Now the place is through. The stillness of life, it flashes and fades away, far into the skies. Getting warm rays of dawn, we will journey on through the unknown, into the brave machines lighting our way. I'll reach for you and all the pain that's new. I'll give a name, something good and true, but no duration. Until the day we come to feel the same. I'll keep you close, all this love I hold, my new sensation. Take a leap of faith within my heart. I'll reach for you and all the pain that's new. I'll give a name, something good and true, that's no duration. Until the day we come to feel the same. I'll keep you close, all this love I hold, my new sensation. Take a leap of faith within my heart, and this is my start. I'll reach for you and all the pain that's new. I'll give a name, something good and true, that's no duration. Until the day we come to feel the same. I'll keep you close, all this love I hold, my new sensation. Take a leap of faith within my heart, and this
Welcome, Ultras and Switchy Sisters alike, to episode 21 of the weekly episodic gaming-adjacent livestream podcast show. This is Switch to Ultra, back on Mondays until the end of time. The very morning after the previous episode, I'm talking like 12 hours or so later, a full 47-minute Kirby Air Riders Direct hosted by game director Masahiro Sakurai was uploaded to YouTube, and shortly after, the game was playable in the hands of several members of the media at Gamescom, which I believe has come to an end only earlier today. And I see no reason we don't just fully jump into that for analysis and review. That was the original purpose of the show existing anyway, and there is a lot to go over. Welcome to the Switch 2 Ultra family. I'm your co-parent BH Ultra.
And I am your co-parent Switchy.
Current editor of the Switch 2 Ultra podcast. We'll cut this part out, but also I want it cut so that practically all the silences and breaths are just gone. So that way the video format later can be looked on as sort of a hub for Kirby Air Riders information. But also anytime something appears in the document, which you will see, have a little Kirby sound effect, whether it be a course, a machine, or a rider. Alright, now Switchy, we're back. Welcome back. Did you watch the Kirby Air Riders Direct?
I did.
Now, what did you glean from that? Just off the top, because I have a lot of notes here for analysis purposes, but I want to know how it made you feel.
Well, it's hard to, I think for me, gauge a really thoughtful opinion, just because, as I said, I haven't played Kirby Air Ride since I was a very, very young child. And because of that, I think I don't have any strong opinions about things that are added, things that are changed, etc., etc. What mostly stuck with me is that it's kind of fun, also a little eerie, also nostalgic to see Masahiro Sakurai kind of give a Sakurai style direct again.
Yeah.
You know, it's been a good few years, and I don't know, I mean, one of the things that really struck me was towards the beginning, they show off some of the playable characters, and they do these Smash Bros-esque kind of introduction screens for them. Yeah. And I always find that funny because often the Sakurai-ness and the Smash Bros-ness of certain things are often what's the word? Conflated, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the famous example is the similarity in the menus between Kid Icarus Uprising, Kirby Air Ride, and Smash Bros.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, it's refreshing to kind of be in this position again, even if it's not Smash Bros. Actually, especially because it's not Smash Bros, I would say.
Yeah, well, we can get into that early in the direct, but also some of the notes I have are similar, where the menu here and the little flourishes on the characters, like all the character renders we got, they almost do look like Smash renders. And I think in the first Switch 2 Direct, I think Bonanza was the last one, but right before that, when we saw Kirby on the Warp Star, I think for a second everyone sort of skipped a beat. They're like, oh wait, is this Smash? Because the Kirby in that render, in that trailer, it looks like Smash Kirby. And it's hard to actually point out and discern what that means. I don't even think I could give a demonstration as to what I think is a Smash model and what isn't. If you showed two of them to me, I would know which one is Smash, but I wouldn't be able to tell you why. But the renders in this game, they look like Smash renders, and even it's funny that the original Air Ride menu looks almost exactly like the Melee menu, because now the menu for this game looks a lot like Smash Ultimate. And as do a lot of the font and the little character announcements, the splash screens. And I guess a big part of that, well, we could jump into that in a second, but I just wanted to say that I am treating this more as an entry point, where I can't imagine you played Air Ride super litigiously or regularly.
No, absolutely not. The only reason it's particularly nostalgic is that it's probably the first GameCube game I ever played. Probably the first time I ever played a game on a Nintendo console.
Yeah.
But my experience with it is pretty. I remember playing it at my cousin's house and thinking it was fun and wanting to play it more, but they were outside of the house. I think they had to go do something. So my sister and I asked our parents, or maybe their parents, if we could play play the game. I don't even think we knew what the GameCube was. I must have been 4, so we did. I think my cousins got mad at me for
messing with their save.
It's a very early memory.
Yeah. For me, Air Riders is always in the context of it being retro. I mean, that was a lot of GameCube games that when I was playing Brawl at my friend's place, they're like, oh, you know, there's like another Smash game that's got Mewtwo in it. And I'm like, what? That's awesome. And we could play it on the Wii. So whenever I played Air Ride, it was when I got into collecting or playing retro games. And I'm like, oh, let's play Air Ride. But even that was like one time. And I played it with a friend who did grow up with it. And I had no idea what was going on. And then recently this year, because there are a lot of interesting Melee mods or just GameCube game mods in general. And that's what I didn't really get to say last week when we were talking about emulation, that I think that there is a benefit to playing these games online with also, like, mod packs. And there's a lot of discourse around somebody making a Game & Watch skin, but that's not really what this podcast episode's about right now.
Oh, yeah.
That I tried playing it and didn't get it. So not only did I want to take notes on everything I could spot in the direct, just so this is a proper analysis on a podcast, but also so that like I could actually understand how the game works. Because I had always jumped into the previous one. I'm like, oh yeah, you know, you're on a cart, got it, you hit stuff. But I don't think I actually grasped what was happening. So I think this game and this direct is going to act as a really useful entry point for not just me, but a lot of people who didn't play the original, which is a lot of people.
Yeah.
We can start the direct like that, then. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah, I can.
All right.
You know, one thing I'll definitely say, I'll just start this before I forget to say it.
Sure.
Is that just from the initial trailer, like I'm kind of confident in the possibility of like Waddle Dee being in Smash Bros. Now.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
This is like this. Yeah. This. We'll get to it, but
yeah, his renders specifically. I wanted to make a note later, or we can just do it. Well, I mean, we'll do it when we see it. But right now, in the beginning of the direct, we're obviously not playing it, but it played at the beginning of this podcast in the intro song. The intro song, which I imagine is the Kirby Air Riders main theme, is a song with lyrics, and it has a Japanese version and an English version.
I have an opinion on that.
Okay, you don't like the lyrical themes.
No, not particular. Well, I mean, I'm not like strong. I'm just kind of over. I think I said that. I'm kind of over the Nintendo game needs to have like a song with lyrics as its main theme. I don't know.
Somebody say Nintendo song with lyrics? we gotta call our friend.
You know what? I don't know. It's just a habit they've had for these past few years, and I don't know. I was only ever really a fan of Jump Up Superstar. I guess it's not even really that offensive. Like I don't know why I have an opinion on it. It's just kind of an O brother thing. I don't know. It's
I was about to say like, I guess it started with Ultimate, but no, you're right. I guess it did start with Odyssey. But for me, this one specifically, it feels more like a callback to Ultimate than it does like, oh, the Nintendo thing. Even like the font looks like
most
Ultimate
likely.
Now.
Oh yeah,
so much
dude.
so
I mean,
that I
once again.
Oh no, go ahead.
Well, I assume. I think I forgot. I assume that like a lot of the same people who developed Ultimate also worked on this game. So
yes,
he mentions you really see the fingerprints everywhere.
He mentions early on in the direct that this game is not being developed by HAL Laboratories. It's being developed by Sora Limited and Bandai Namco. And they worked on Smash 4 and Smash Ultimate. So this is just the Smash Ultimate team working on Kirby Air Riders, and you know, there's more of that when in the context of what games they've been working on. But for this, it reminded me of Smash Ultimate, so much so that I wondered if it was the same lady, like the same kid who was singing the Lifelight theme, you know, Colors Weave. So I looked into it. Obviously, they announced it at the end of the direct, but this is the first time a game isn't out yet. Just had this big direct announcement. There was a lot of stuff tied into this direct. Like there were daily posts on the Nintendo Today app, some of which are important, some of which aren't. It seems like they really are trying to push this Nintendo Today app. But also on top of that, they have the Nintendo Music app, which I think was earlier this year, or maybe late last year, if I remember correctly. And they've been slowly releasing the soundtracks to their games, and obviously because they don't want people re-uploading them on YouTube, but you can't stop that, even if they want to take them down, of their older games, like when when Mario Paint came to Nintendo Switch Online, they released the soundtrack on the Nintendo Music app. This is the first time they've released a bunch of songs from a game on the app before the game is out. And there's also pictures of the game on the Nintendo Today app. So this does sort of seem, even though it's not the same like level of excitement of Smash Bros, that it's sort of like the Smash blog, where every day there's like a picture of an item, or a picture of a character, or a song is uploaded. Like, I remember back there used to be a song or two uploaded to the Smash blog every week. I don't know if... I think there's a possibility because it's not as big as a thing as Smash Bros. Like, oh, you need everyone to react to it. I think there could be characters announced for this game on the Nintendo Today app. Like how they announced Sonic on the Smash Dojo back in the day, like without a big reveal trailer. They just posted it. So I wanted to look into it. I don't know how accurate the YouTube upload is, but the YouTube upload of this main theme, of the English theme, lists in the description, I think it said like my SV or something like that. And I looked into it, and it seems, even though this sounds so much like a real person, I don't know, you could put the song, the lyrical song here now. Wow, not the whole thing, but wow, what a nice song that was. What a nice 5-second snippet that was. That it seems to be sourced from a Vocaloid. I think the SV means synthesizer V. So, as far as that YouTube upload of the song goes, and it says right here, music Starlight Journey English version performed by my SV, that I think the main theme of Kirby Air Riders was performed by this Vocaloid.
Oh, interesting.
I'm pretty sure that's how it is, even though, I guess, you know, it's really an argument of whether or not you count a Vocaloid as AI or not, but the technology's been getting good over the last couple of years, really, really scarily good. So the fact that it sounds like a real person performing, I guess I'm a little bit more open to hearing a Vocaloid song as opposed to an AI one, but, you know, that's a very fine line we walk, if this is even true. So shout out my synthesizer V, the Vocaloid, that is allegedly the voice used for the Kirby Air Riders theme.
I do like the RS added there.
Yeah. This guy hates making games. Every time he comes back, talks about taking a break. I mean, from his perspective, and I think we're going to get into it here. I don't want to skip too far ahead, just for the interesting parts, or the important parts. He's talking about here how Air Ride was made into Air Riders, and now we have the multiple riders. I guess we can cover this bit now before he talks about how the game came to fruition, the different riders. And we said in the previous, like these right here, the splash screens and the renders, they look like Smash specifically. I'm not super tuned in with the original Air Ride, but I know you could play D2D and Meta Knight in the race mode, but they wouldn't be on the machines, and everything was mostly Kirby's. That
how would they race?
Yeah, all the characters seem to have different stats, and as do all the machines that we will see later. Also, real quickly, I want to run over this because I saw people posting about it. That like, oh man, shadow drop, shadow reveal. Seem to believe it's going to be like Mario Kart World, and in the direct they compare it to Mario Kart World, where a lot of the playable characters are going to be enemies. Enemies strewn throughout the courses. And I have a lot of these written down, and we'll add them to our little guide that I have in Photoshop as we see them. But there are Kirby enemies strewn throughout most of these courses. Even this road course here, this city course, I think might be one of the city trial courses because it doesn't appear in the actual raceways that we see later. But again, we'll cover that. This bit here, where D2D is riding, I think it's D2D. Yeah, where he, if I can go back a little bit, I don't know why this direct man was really fighting me on this. There is a knight. What do I have it called, actually? The Blade Knight, yes. There's a Blade Knight on a vehicle here, as there are Waddle Dees in the carts, but there's multiple of them. So I saw people saying that they're like, oh man, they shadow dropped these characters in the reveal, or they accidentally revealed them as playable racers, but I don't think this means that this Waddle Dee and this Blade Knight are racers. I think that built into, because you only have 6 racers in the actual air ride mode, I think built into it there are going to be pedestrians and other racers on the course. So I just wanted to nip that in the bud, that I saw people think that this means that Blade Knight was going to be a playable character, because honestly there are some playable characters or riders they show later that are basically tertiary Kirby enemies, but I don't think that's what this is.
Okay, honestly, I would have assumed that's what it was.
I thought it was too, and then I got halfway through the direct, I'm like, hold on a second. Because there's a thing later where when any enemy that you, or any enemy or rival that you defeat or knock down, this one specifically, like this looks like a Smash render, this looks like a splash screen. So much so that, you know what, editor, go ahead. I know that we normally wait for fake leaks or guests on the show, but I would like to formally, if it's not already there, add specifically this Waddle Dee render to our little Smash Bros screen. Put the Kirby Air Riders square in the corner of it, because I'm almost certain now, and also it just looks like it. I want to put him in there. I feel like Bandana Waddle Dee
a lot
is
with
such
the
a...
lighting. There's like a white light, and white light's not uncommon, but I think it's also the reflectiveness of the character models. I think is like part of what makes it look Smash Brosy. I don't know. It's really hard to put into words.
Chef Kawasaki,
especially because I don't know much about 3D modeling.
Yeah. But you know what I mean, right? Where when you look at them, it's like, this looks like a Smash model. I can't point my finger, like, put my nose on why. This is the other main thing, is that in Kirby Air Ride, it was mainly, you were just playing as different Kirbys. And in the previous episode of Switch 2 Ultra, that's what we were speculating. Like, there was a possibility that all the playable characters in this game just could have been different Kirby recolors. And I was happy, I was relieved to at least see Bandana Waddle Dee. Because I didn't wake up to, like, react to this direct, but that was the first thing I saw, was a bunch of people posting about Bandana Waddle Dee and that specific render. So what he's saying here is that work for Kirby Air Riders, which was, I believe he says, requested by the higher-ups at Nintendo. Like, everyone assumed this was his idea, that he's like, you know what, now that I've done Smash Bros, I want to do Air Riders. But it was specifically requested of him that it was during the development of the Smash Bros. Fighters Pass 2 DLC that development was started. So it is the team that immediately just pivoted over to working on this. But we also know, either last year or the year before, it may have actually been late 2023, that there was a new studio launched as a subsidiary of Bandai Namco Games. That's called, like, Studio 2, Studio S, or maybe Studio S, Studio 2. Editor, show that on screen. That is a subsidiary of Bandai Namco that is specifically for developing Nintendo games, and now we know what the S and the 2 mean, that they're for developing Switch 2 games. And I don't think they were responsible for this game. And this game, we know, is what he brought up in his YouTube channel, shameless plug, by the way, that this is the game he's been working on, that he started the proposal in 2022. So Sakurai hasn't been working on anything on the side. It's just been, it was Smash 4 into Ultimate into Air Riders. So I wouldn't expect any Sakurai directed game for a while, a good couple of years after Air Riders. However, I don't think it's impossible that a lot of people who worked on Ultimate are now a part of Studio 2, Studio S, and could have been working on a Smash Bros. In the background. What do you think the over-under on that is? Do you think we're getting a Smash Bros. Soon, or it's going to be we're going to wait 3 years for Sakurai to direct another game?
You know, in the past, I might have assumed we'd have to wait a while. But I'm thinking about how last week, there was a part of me that was kind of skeptical that we would have multiple playable characters in this game. There was a part of me that was kind of setting myself up for it to just be Kirby or something. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's my cautious pessimism, or it's just my pessimism or whatever. But thinking about that, and how we're not getting that, and how, frankly, even if Masahiro Sakurai wanted that, I assume that they wouldn't let him do that. I think that, you know, especially since this game was requested, I assume that, you know, if for some reason Masahiro Sakurai wanted there to be no other Kirby characters, he probably would have been pushed to do that. And all that's to say is that I think that Nintendo as a whole would probably wants a Smash Bros. Something sooner rather than later. And I do not put it past them, and I don't think I should. I don't think it's like bad to do this. I assume they don't think Masahiro Sakurai needs to personally oversee everything.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had to really make a guess, if I had to put my money somewhere, I would predict that there's something coming out in the next couple years, and Masahiro Sakurai has an overall director position as opposed to, I don't know what the term is. I mean, I know that, for example, Odyssey, Miyamoto didn't take part in development, but he was still, you know, like an artistic, what's the word?
Lead?
He was still an
Consultant?
advisor consultant that could.
He's the Mario ambassador.
People in the direction. He's the Mario guy. I assume
Now Charles Martinet is the Mario ambassador.
Yeah, right. I assume that if anything, that's what he'd probably be, since he's working on Kirby Air Riders. I don't think they'd want. I mean, I don't know if the game's probably still in development or at least being finished up. So I don't know. I mean, is Super Smash Bros. Switch 2 gonna start tomorrow? I highly doubt it. I think that Nintendo knows that it's too popular of a franchise, and they would love to have some Smash Bros. Money raking in sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's normally a good year or so into a new console's development or release. I think Brawl was the latest one into that console. Or maybe that was the same amount of time as Smash 4 Wii U.
Well, Brawl was like 2008, right?
It was like January 2008.
Hmm.
And I think
Yeah,
that
I mean,
Smash for Wii U was maybe 2 years after the Wii U.
4 was October 2014. I forget. I'm pretty sure the 3DS came out 2011. Wii U
Yeah.
came out late 2012. So it was like a year or two. I mean,
It's
so
been the
yeah.
longest amount of time between Smash games. I think my fear is that we are talking about Smash Bros. In the way that every console needs to have a new game. But I don't think it's impossible that Nintendo, they're like, oh, we need a new Smash game for this new console to sell it. Let's do a Switch 2 edition of Ultimate. Because I imagine that's
Oh,
how
yeah.
they feel with the other games. It's like, oh, we don't... specifically with their launch lineup, that maybe they put more stake in the Switch 2 editions than the consumer does, or fans do. Because I don't care that much about Switch 2 editions. Other than the upcoming Kirby one, because that's actually adding a lot of stuff, and we'll talk about that next week. But my fear is that they decide to do Ultimate Switch 2 Edition, and maybe they add more characters and stages, but still, I would like to see... The more and more years pass, the more and more I'm sold on not a reboot like you need to change how the game plays, but sort of a soft reboot where there's so many characters, mainline Smash characters, that have changed so much since then. Like, if they did Ultimate Switch 2 Edition and then we're just looking at the old Donkey Kong, which I don't dislike, but, that's not what Donkey Kong looks like right now, it would feel outdated, at least to me.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, because I was thinking to myself that well, that's like one thing that I would say goes against the possibility of there being an ultimate for Switch 2, is the fact that they probably wouldn't want to change the base character designs, and Donkey Kong in Ultimate still has his old character design. But yeah, no, I'll level with you. I think there's a good chance it's just going to be Smash for Switch 2.
Yeah.
Smash Ultimate for Switch 2, and part of me likes that. I mean, we'll probably get a Steve nerf out of it, and I don't know. I guess part of me is not excited to lose a bunch of characters or whatever next time we get a Smash Bros. Game, but at the same time, I think that I'm not super passionate either way. I think regardless, it's gonna be pretty cool.
Well, my thing about a soft reboot, and also my detest for an Ultimate Switch 2 edition, is that you could just play Ultimate on the Switch 2. So if in a new Smash game they remove a lot of characters that I like, and I really, really want to play Banjo, then I could just play Ultimate on the Switch 2. And it's not even like, oh, how you could play GameCube games on the Wii or Wii U games. Like, I would have it downloaded to the console. I could easily just, switch over to that.
I guess I'm just the kind of person that likes having as many things as possible in one place. That's not me arguing as much as it just seems to be a thing that my soul finds satisfying. There's something pleasant to me about it, even if it's sometimes impractical. I mean, I was really excited when one of the selling points for Ultimate was having all the characters in one game.
Yeah.
But I remember before that, I kind of would always say, oh yeah, they're not going to bring back Young Link when they have Toon Link. It'd be ridiculous. Toon Link is like the new Young Link or whatever.
But because that's the selling point of Ultimate, I don't think I needed another Smash game. I think Ultimate... I don't want the next game to just be the better version of the last one. I'd rather them be different. For me, there's no reason to go back to play Smash for Wii U. Whereas there are reasons to play Melee and Brawl.
Yeah.
And I want there to,
I'd say, yeah.
I just want the next one to be... And also, my idea of a soft reboot is also sort of a half measure because of the way that DLC and updates are treated in games now. That I don't think, like, maybe if a new Smash game launches next year with 30 or 40 base game characters, I think it would beget them to have a skeleton crew supporting this new Smash game throughout the entirety of the Switch 2's lifetime, and then by the end of it, we eventually have just everyone back. Like, I think that's what I'm picturing.
That's what I would love, but I don't know. I think that specifically as a thing that would happen is just a very non-Nintendo business practice. You know, I mean, unless they do something they just don't do very often, I just can't see them doing something like. I'm not saying proper sentences, but that's just not a thing that I feel like Nintendo has like a history of doing. And that's not to say they can't start doing it. I just don't expect them to.
I'm sort of expecting a Smash Bros. Battle Pass, which I'm not even opposed to, as long as it's like. I mean, I love Smash Bros., so I'm gonna get all of them anyway. And maybe they'll do it in packs where it's like, oh, there's this new fighter that's. I don't remember how much Smash Bros. Fighters were for the Fighters Pass, like individually. Were they like?
I think in 2015, I think for Smash 4 it was like $5 for fighter.
Okay,
but I might be
$5,
misremembering.
and then maybe you have returning characters. Be like 4 and maybe like a clone character. I don't know. It would be like a package where slowly adding all these characters back. I would like the idea of there being a new character every month and the game's already released. I know that's a little crazy and there could be some filler characters, but I see games like Fortnite or Marvel Rivals. Or granted, those are free to start games, but I don't think I'd put it past Nintendo to have a fully priced $70 Smash Bros. And then also have DLC after the fact. I'm sort of meeting them halfway with this. However, back to Air Riders, I went back a little bit because I was spotting things here. That I have this document here, this Photoshop picture. I know it's a little blurry here, but these is the character select screen we're going to see later in the Direct. Something I didn't
It really does look like, if these weren't Kirby characters and they were Smash Bros. Characters, and you showed me a picture, I would just literally think it's some like obscure Smash Ultimate game mode that I forgot about. You know,
well,
just the HUD.
That's what people have been saying is that and there's always a lot of this when it comes to seeing any menus, especially when like
everything's
Mario
so
Maker
triangular 2. And
it's
just
like there's
colors.
Like whenever there's empty space, the result is always like, oh, we need to put something here. There needs to be a bunch more characters. And maybe there will be.
Absolutely. There's definitely they definitely don't just have that there with nothing else that could theoretically be put in there.
Well, I
refuse to believe that.
I've decided to fill the empty space with stuff we have seen. I also did notice when looking at this image down here that we have all of the different Kirby colors, and we see the powers of pink Kirby, yellow Kirby, red and blue. I don't know what green Kirby's power is, but there's also a little hat next to the X button here that your characters might be more customizable than just the alternate skins. You might be able to put... I mean, just a hat on them, probably. I don't know if they wear clothes.
I would also guess that Kirby probably has the most customization out of all the characters.
Yeah, and on the Japanese website, they have alternate skins for all of them, and we'll get into that after the Direct. But for right now, what we're looking at in the Direct is this little grass background. Seeing him racing the course, and we're seeing him destroy these Waddle Dees. So not only do we have bring, a little sound effect there, editor, Waddle Dee as an enemy in the background, but we also have the first course shown off to us, which is Flora Fields. Now, I'm not as convinced when it comes to the character select screen, maybe because the same way I'm like cautiously pessimistic, but we know that there are more courses than are shown to us in the demo. Like they show 4 air ride courses, and I don't think that's all of them. Because we also, I mean, when he's attacking these Waddle Dees, this is inside some kind of blue cave. And I think this is maybe part of a different course. I think maybe we're looking at Flora Fieldways the whole time. Switch over to King Dedede. This background, the cityscape, it could just be the city trial mode. It could be the races within the city trial mode, the scramble. But also there are no race courses we know that look like this. He's on the wheelie right now. They're going to go over all the courses later. And that is the Blade Knight, which we talked about. Adding Blade Knight to the list of enemies. And I believe, we could see the Scarfies up here as well. We'll add them to that list. And as we're combing through this footage, This is the part that I think leads some to believe that Blade Knight could be an enemy and a playable character. And we're going to get to it here. Also, real quick, this bit back here looks so much, not this, but the background back here looks so much like a Smash Bros. Stage. Like, I can't put my finger on which one, but there's one that has a background exactly like that.
Corneria is what it's reminding me of.
Ooh, yeah, you're right.
Or wait, no, is that Corneria? Corneria is the one with like you're on the ship, but there's like a city below it, right? I forget.
Maybe, but also it could just be like the Majora's Mask one or the Princess Peach's Castle where the background is like weirdly photoreal. We see Cappy enemies here, and spoilers for the direct, but we see Cappy as a driver or a rider as well. Meaning Cappy is both a rider and an enemy in this game. And that's when we get introduced to the 5 riders, which are the main 4 of Kirby, King Dedede, Meta Knight, and Bandana Waddle Dee. He's finally brought home as one of the big 4, finally recognized. But then also Chef Kawasaki is there. A very popular Kirby. Well, I don't know how popular the individual Kirby enemies are. I know he's been there a while, which has got to count for something.
He had the Brawl Final Smash.
True. Well, we'll get into the specials in a sec. But where we are right here, we can see, first of all, we see Bronto Burt right there, but we also see Yellow Kirby. So let's add Bronto Burt to our list. What he'll show later when it comes to the specials is that the individually colored Kirbys have their own special power-ups. Also, we're seeing this autumn level here, which is the Mount Amber Falls. It's possible the cave we saw before is the Cavernous Corners. I think it might be, actually, but that blue cave might be a part of Floria Fields as well. That we know the individual Kirby colors, the pink, yellow, so on and so forth, have different special abilities. And I think that's interesting that they're still classified as alternate costumes underneath the Kirby tab on the character select screen. But they also have their own unique powers.
Yeah, I suppose it's just for, a more readable, pleasant to look at character selection screen.
We got to figure out what that green Kirby is then. These are the drivers. Or sorry, the riders. They're not called drivers. That's specifically what he said.
I love that.
That there's specific names for everything. Well, this has... I don't want to say that Mario Kart Worlds doesn't have customization, but the people who cared a lot about the stats of their machine... We see here, passed by really quickly. I think that is a balloon bomber. It is a balloon bomber. There's the balloon bomber. And we also see a new enemy, a burn bomb, in the background. We could see it right there. And Kirby passes by it. But I believe it was shown off on the Nintendo Today app. And then also tweeted by the official Kirby Air Riders account. That this new enemy, the burn bomb, gives your character the fire ability, and it's something shown off in the direct that every playable character has the copy ability. Total lore breaking shenanigans here, but we get to see Waddle do with the fire copy ability as well. I think that's where we're at. And then explaining, I appreciate this part, the explanation of how the controls work. I also didn't know that there is no accelerate. Your character automatically moves no matter what. They wanted to have one button, which is the boost charge, which if you hold it will obviously charge up your machine and give you a little boost afterwards, but it also stops your machine. I have to keep stopping myself so I don't get it wrong. Your machine dead in its tracks. And it also helps with drifting, like it does here, because you are stopping still. Did the original Air Ride just have the movement and the one button? Is this a carryover from that?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Because he
said something about that later on.
He made a big stink about adding one button. And then this spooky... Okay, just switch really quickly. Out of all the stages we have marked... or we have found, or we know the name of, we don't know anything more about this spooky bridge area. Maybe it could be the autumn stage, because we're assuming that the course, the little snapshot we saw, it's going to look like that the whole time. But I'm not certain about that. This one could be an entirely new stage, or it could be a part of the city trial. It just goes... Actually, wait. If this is a pirate ship area, it kind of looks nautical. That's what he mentions later with the water course, which is called Waterflow Waters, which again isn't lumped in with the rest of the courses we see on the course select screen earlier. But it is a course we know exists in specifically air ride mode. So I believe that's what that is. I'm going to assume that's what that is. I was explaining the glide ability. I think it's what he's about to do, rather. What is it about video games that up always goes down and down always goes up when you're in the air? Is it just based off of actual flying machines?
Up always goes down and down always goes up. I think it's supposed to like mimic the way you can tilt forward and tilt backwards.
You're
'Cause if
tilting
you
the
tilt
back
backwards,
of it.
that makes it point upwards. Otherwise, you know, et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera.
Well, you can glide off the ramp a little bit and go up and down to steer. And I think what he's explained as well is that you want to land parallel to the ground so you do not crash. And not only stumble, but also do damage to your vehicle. Yeah, that's what he's
Reminds me
explaining
of
right
GTA.
here. It's exactly like GTA. And we see, again, Blade Knight riding this. And this is not only a character that is not showcased amongst the other characters, but also we've seen most of the machines. Like, they make a... This is a 40-minute direct. They make a note to show off all the machines in the direct by name. This is not one we have the name of, so I do think that these are just enemies that happen to spawn as traffic on the course, as does Cabby.
Yeah,
Not that I'm
makes
opposed
sense.
to Blade Knight being a playable rider. I don't think it's impossible, but I think people are getting their hopes up based off of the footage in the direct when it's another... Well, were there... I don't remember correctly. Were there characters that were showed off in Mario Kart World in, like, trailers that weren't shown off yet and were like, oh, this could be a playable character? There probably were.
I don't remember. I feel like just because, at least in Mario Kart, all of the traffic is like a really different size in the racers, you know? It's these like big ass toads and their big ass cars.
This is
you know?
also what's tripping some people up, is when you attack another rider, like hit them or maybe break them, they'll show up here, but it also applies to the enemies. So Blade Knight shows up with these guys, or those little character portraits. So I didn't see anyone pointing that out specifically, but I do think it's possible that some people also saw that and they're like, oh, Blade Knight is a playable character. But I think this is just a weird quirk of the game where it does just list everyone you attack, because it'll list other enemies later. And I like the different specials they're showing off. You know, the 5 main characters with their specials. However, I don't know how I feel about Ultra Sword. Like, still to this day. I think it is still Kirby's Final Smash, right?
It is.
I don't know if I like Ultra Sword, because it's too much like, oh, this is a reference to a different Nintendo thing. It's not a very, like, Kirby special that he just... Because it also puts a lot of specificity on one of the copy abilities. And I think it's strange that his big ability in all of the mainline games and spin-off material is just the sword ability. I do like the Rocket Hammer, though. How do you feel about Ultra Sword?
I'm not a big fan. I don't know. I mean, when it originally... When his Final Smash was originally changed from like the Kawasaki thing to the Ultra Sword, it seemed like it was just kind of a tie-in for
Nightwing,
Return to Dreamland and stuff. I think Return to Dreamland, because that's the game where you had those like super copy abilities or whatever they're called.
Yeah, Spear Cyclone.
And I don't know. I mean, I liked the I mean, I guess it wasn't Kirby,
Booster
but I
Cap.
kind of always liked the cooking more, just because it was more characteristic. It felt more quirky and silly like Kirby is, as opposed
It
to
seemed
the
more
sword.
like something Kirby would do.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, that's like an idea I have, a thing I feel about, you know, the newer Smash Bros. Characters, where a lot of the times their final smashes or ultimate attacks, they all kind of blend together, even if it's... And that's also why I remember people... This is we were kind of talking about this earlier. I remember people were theorizing that in Smash Ultimate, Mario, his moveset was going to be overhauled and there was going to be a lot of Cappy in it.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of glad they didn't do that, because I don't know, sometimes when they do that, it feels that they're limiting the entire history of the character to just the newest thing. You know what I mean?
Sure, but the newest thing in Mario's kit is still Flood. Like, he still has that to this day.
Yeah.
And I like Flood in Smash Bros, but it's not really emblematic of Mario anymore.
I guess
like,
sometimes it's
even
like, oh yeah, we
Mario's-
all know Mario, you know,
Even Mario's
throwing
Final
his hat.
Smash, which is generic, like, at least the Fireball is his main ability. It's weird that Kirby is his specifically sword. And here we see, not only we see these little Again, a lot like Smash Ultimate, their character renders show up in the corner as they're doing their special. But we see the different specials of the other Kirby. The red Kirby does burn. Blue Kirby does snowball, which is, I think, one we've seen before. The special abilities don't count as copy abilities. Okay, when we see the yellow one is Crash, so we don't know what the green Kirby special ability is.
Oh my gosh.
We're missing out so much. Also, I guess the Kirbys are different guys then.
I love how Sakurai had to, excuse me. I'm drinking carbonated drink. I love how Sakurai had to like tell us, well, he is the main character after all, as if we were gonna complain. It's like, man, Cappy should have had more specials. Mushroom Cappy, not Hat Cappy.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why later they add the copy abilities to all the other characters. This is like, well, if I didn't, then everyone would just play as Kirby. This is another thing where I've seen people say, maybe it's you know, holding over from earlier Smash Ultimate speculation. We see the list of copy abilities. Advanced is probably... I think these are... Okay, no, these are just the lessons. This is just tutorial area. But I saw people seeing this and be like, oh, there's a square missing. But I don't hold a lot to that. However, out of all of the game modes that are in the original Kirby Air Ride, this is another example of seeing the enemies on the course. Top Ride is the one mode that isn't present in this direct, and we know the profile picture of the official Kirby Air Riders account uses these little figures that we didn't see anywhere in the direct. Maybe they're collectible, or maybe Top Ride mode has also been overhauled entirely. And now we get some of the machines, like the Warp Star, we can now mark over here. And so now I work fast, but the Kirby Wiki moves faster, this Warp Star, because there's others that they don't necessarily go over. But again, this is more of the machines having their own unique abilities, which makes sense in a game like this, and there's the Wing Star, because it is outside of the Air Ride mode, which is most of the first half of this direct, just covering the actual races. Oh, maybe this... Hold on, I think the road may actually... The Wing Star?
No, the wagon.
Oh, yeah. I think the road we see here, which is a perfectly circular circuit, it's in one of these videos. Let me scroll down to this. I believe it's in this one, but it's the last one here? Or is it right here? I think it is right here. Our good friends, our good people over at Game Explain. Again, a lot of the footage I'm coming over here was from Gamescom that wasn't shown off in the direct. And this is, of course, still the city trial mode, but one of the stadiums you can get at the end of city trial.
Dubstep Derby.
Yeah, well, he talks about this in the city trial. Dust Up Derby is when you're fighting amongst the people. Gourmet Race, you're trying to get the most food. Skydive, you're trying to go and hit the most numbers by falling. It wasn't shown off in the direct, but there are races as a stadium mode at the end of the city trial. And this stage, Oval Circuit, wasn't shown off. But I think the cityscapes and the roads we've been seeing alongside the other courses, Oval Circuit is one of these courses. I don't know if it'll necessarily... I think it has to be selectable in the Air Ride mode. So now we have another course right there. Did we ever go over... No, they didn't show it yet. Okay, so we're still where we were leaving off. But that's Oval City. It's important that we look at that. There's more game footage later, don't you worry. So we got Wing Star, and we could add Wagon Star as well. Wagon Star was in the original. I believe so. At least whenever I was looking for renders of it before I decided to just magic wand all around it. I kept seeing GameCube renders of it. Wheelie, because back in the original game you would only get stars and Wheelie. You get Shadow Star.
My star isn't a normal one. It's a darker, fucked up one.
Right. Oh, dude, Just You Wait. Paper Star is a new machine to this game. They all have different stats. Just you wait when I get this game.
My star isn't a normal star. It's a much more paper star.
I was so sad in Wheelie because I love Meta Knight and Wheelie, but maybe I have to do Meta Knight and Shadow Star so it could be as edgy as possible. I think Bulk Star. I think there is something specific.
Something to match my bulky personality and soul.
I thought you were like reading descriptions somewhere. No, you just have these sets.
No, I'm just like not being funny.
No, these are important. This say a lot about the rider because not only do you have your character and your different character sets. This one looks annoying as shit to play as though. I don't want to do that at all.
Yeah. Draw a more fucked up, like swerved person. I think I'm going to use the cart one, but like it's probably like a pain in the ass. It probably sucks.
Chariot, which is a new type of machine that's not a wheelie or a star. We only see like 2 chariots in this though. We see the tank star. Although it is a different type of ride or machine, it is still listed as a star. I think those are the... Oh yeah, here I have written the metal plate for Blade Star, yeah. So these are all the ones we've been showing off. But I think there is... I do not want to do Swerve Star. There is more of a choice when it comes to playing your character and using their machine. That can end up broken. That... Oh, purple Kirby. I didn't even notice that the first time. What do you think?
So actually,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I guess there might be more colored Kirby skills than we saw.
I think when it came to Mario Kart World that we were looking for a lot of stuff, and we were mainly shown the entire map, but we were expecting more. And other games where we've expected other modes. But I think because...
Dude, I kind of wish Meta Knight could fly too, but I understand why they wouldn't do that.
They got to give him the machine. Why? I know we're seeing additional riders. Though. I did not expect this from him at all. He really beat the allegations as Magalore.
They're acting like nothing happened.
Yeah. Kirby's Return to Dreamland GUI from, I believe, Kirby's Dream Land 2 or 3?
I keep seeing him and getting confused and thinking this is some like Mario sports mix, like Square Enix crossover. It looks so much like slime. And that's such a guy who doesn't play that many Kirby games thing to say, but it's
Knuckle
messing
Joe,
with my head.
You gotta know is a Kirby character.
Oh, I know. Oh yeah, I know Knuckle Joe.
Oh, trust me. The one I don't know, I didn't play any of the 3DS games, so I know people care a lot about Susie, but I actually don't know anything about Susie. So these are...
She's from Robobot, right?
I know that. I know she's from Robobot. I just don't know, like, what makes her tick, really. So we're seeing all of these characters, and I believe you will show us the character select screen soon. But do you believe that there's going to be more riders in this game than are shown to us in this direct? Because before I was saying, like, oh, we always get our hopes up for other games, but there's never extra content. But I think the only one where that normally is the case is Smash Bros. So I think the Sakurai has a very specific twang to him, where...
Yeah, that's a good point. I was gonna say no, just because I don't know. I mean, they didn't really put on much of a show for characters in Mario Kart World. They just kind of told us, yeah, the cow is playable, and didn't really kind of elaborated on that much outside of, you know, some interviews.
I do want secret unlockable characters, and I hope Sakurai's stance isn't the same as this as it was with Smash Bros.
I mean, especially, I'm inclined to say yes, just because they showed us like a half-complete list of characters, and there's already people like arguing one way or the other, like, oh, is the knight playable? He might not be. I'm gonna say yes, and actually, the fact that it is Sakurai makes me think he might want to, you know, show off a little bit more. But I do also wonder, when would he show it off? I don't think they're going to do any more directs or anything. Maybe they do a spot during a mainline direct. When I said no more directs, I meant like Kirby Air Ride directs.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I hope
I think they might just do like a Nintendo Today reveal, you know?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Especially if they're posting on it regularly. I didn't have this listed initially, but I did just see Sir Kibble, the cutter ability, in the background. So I'll bump them between here. I'll just place them right there. Alright, editor, I'm gonna make him disappear, and then... Whoa, Sir Kibble's in there, too! You can keep the explanation as well. I think it's funny. And we see him there, and that's where you get all of these copy abilities. And I'm trying to go in order of... Oh, they're talking about blocks, or how you can automatically... I think what was confusing me about the original Air Ride when I was playing it is I didn't really understand what I was doing. Like, I didn't feel like I knew everything. Again, here, they show off 4 courses. And we know that there's more. There has to be. That
like...
when you run into an enemy, you automatically attack them. At Cappy automatically shields. Fusion? Which, dude, I know. This is going to be the second best racing game. Yeah, and that's where he gets the cutter ability. And the sword ability. Again, the fact that he inhales... We could put Wheel on this list. The fact that he inhales the Blade Knight leads me to believe that he is just an enemy. Wheelie.
Yeah.
You know, we'll put Sir Kibble here.
Have we seen, like, you know, because, yeah, we don't, I mean, if so, were there any other enemies we've seen as just kind of map traffic? Because most of the other ones are literally just on the road, on the,
Well, we saw other Waddle Dees that didn't have bandanas in minecarts. This is the big moment that everyone could do a copy ability now. Also, earlier in that, they might show it again. This GUI with the fucking sword. Yeah,
But I
those
love
Waddle
Gooey with the
Dees.
sword.
We see the bomb, and we also saw Mike earlier. And if in air ride mode, the only way to get the copy abilities... Oh, no, wait, there's the microphone right there. Man, my ass was not paying attention. I was going to say that even if we don't see the enemies, this would have to imply that the enemies that produce that copy ability show up, like with Jet and with Poppy Bros Jr. Also, Steel Ball is a totally new copy ability, meaning we finally have the 69th copy ability, which we haven't gotten... I don't want to say since anything, because the previous Kirby game was Dreamland Deluxe, so we got Sand and Mecha as the 67th and 68th copy ability. But people were wondering for a while what the 69th copy ability was going to be, and seemingly it's some kind of steel ball. You also see the Plasma Wisp there. I think there's a couple I missed, but we'll add them in post. Wait, when does the Broom Hatter show up then? Did I miss something? Did I purposefully? Or maybe I just have it later. I might have it later. Let me go through this real quick. I will put Plasma Wisp. Let me do this again. Put Plasma Wisp there. I think we're going to see them. Sorry for spoilers for the Direct, but... This bit, too, that, again, if I didn't look at this Direct and I was just playing the original Air Ride, I would not have known that you can wiggle the stick. Because that is... They remove that as the ability to use... the plasma ability in this game. Like, it used to be in the previous game, you would need to waggle the stick to use the plasma ability, or to shoot the plasma. But now it's just tied to a button, which is greatly appreciated, of course. But there are other controls in this game that do require you to waggle the stick. And I don't think... Maybe I just wasn't paying attention when I played Air Ride. And we could see them sucking up the Blade Knight to get the Blade Knight ability off of his little... skateboard that he was riding, his Sonic Riders. And you do automatically, or I believe that's the, what do I have written here actually? I want to make sure I get this. Oh yeah, B to inhale, or grab the ability. So the same button you use to stop your cart and charge it up, you use as the copy ability. So I appreciate that not only is it streamlined, but also explained. Because I don't know if you've ever like tried to get friends to play Kirby Air Riders, or Kirby Air Ride, I mean, or if anyone ever, like, reviewed it or talked about it, but I feel like it was sort of a high barrier of entry, like, it was kind of hard to understand, and I know you could just look that up, but the game really doesn't do a good job of explaining it. The fact that there are tutorial modes you can do in this game, and you can unlock, or you have little progression charts for those tutorials, I think it'll go a long way, and I appreciate them doing this, and now we have the newest playable character. Kirby Air Riders, the Starman from Kirby's Adventure on the Nintendo Entertainment System. How do you feel about Starman?
I don't know. I mean, I had not seen him before watching this Direct, and I'm a little curious. Is this just like some shit that they just pulled out of nowhere? I assume it is, but I didn't really know much about Kirby, or enough about Kirby to know for sure.
I think Sakurai's throwing Kirby fans a bone with Suzy and Magalore, because all the other ones he invented. Like, he drew up Cappy and Starman. Like, all the other enemies that you play as, or the Kirby characters, tertiary cast, are all from the Sakurai Kirby games, which he's entitled to do so, but I think Suzy and Magalore are just, like, to get people off the scent, so then the rest of the characters could potentially be just other characters he likes the designs of, or he's drawn. And now they just do a lap of the Air Ride, the races. And this is where he mentions the new course they're doing. Again, this is a prime example. The course he says they're going to race on Waveflow Waters is not on the stage select screen we see earlier. Meaning that definitely there are going to be more than 4 courses. It's describing Kirby Air Riders as not that calm. And that's why I think in this course we could see the pirate ship and the broken down nautical stuff. Also, Kirby parts the sea. Good for him. I remember we saw the Plasma Wisp earlier. And we see a little bit of the slipstream here. He explains it as a mechanical... Oh, there was the Broom Hatter. We saw it right there. Okay, so it spawns in this level. There's Broom Hatter. And there's 2 more enemies we gotta spot later in this. But right now he's just doing a course. So all the Air Ride races are 6 racers. Oh, we just saw him right there. The electric ability. Now, do you know the name of this enemy?
No.
Okay, because all the other ones, you get your Plasma Wisp, your Broom Hatter. I did reverse image search. I took a picture of his AI thing. It was like, oh, this is Bellybolt. He's from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But no, this, who I'm putting right here in the middle because I think he's the most important character, this is Dale. Dale has made his way into Kirby Air Riders as an enemy at the very least. So circling back to what we were saying about characters, I think it's possible that maybe in later directs, I mean, we've been saying, I think I'm still in there's not going to be a direct, there is no direct mode, because I've been saying it throughout the summer, but I think my point throughout the summer is that we won't get one until September, and now we're coming up on September, so I think that's likely that we get a Switch 2 Direct, or just Nintendo Direct in general. Maybe some of them are Switch 1 games in September, so we could see more information. But when I was talking about characters or courses we don't know about, I mean, I kind of hope that there are courses or characters that we don't see until the game is out. Now, this here, by the way, we'll circle back to that point, but I was saying that we see some copy abilities that would imply enemies that we don't see. Like, we see the bomb ability, so we have to assume Poppy Bros is somewhere in here. However, this is a new mechanic, or maybe just set to Kirby Air Ride, and it's funny how emblematic it is of Mario Kart, that you run over this question mark panel, and then it gives you a random copy ability. So maybe some of the copy abilities, I would hazard a guess that there is an enemy to match each copy ability. But also you can get the copy abilities by running over a question mark panel. Very different from question mark blocks. They're legally distinct. So I hope that there are characters in the game that we can unlock by playing it. Because I do think that's sort of missed in modern games. Knowing about... We're never... you can't ever go to the past. The world you lived in no longer exists. There's never going to be a Smash game with secret characters in it before release. That just isn't going to be a thing anymore. But there could be other games.
I think the last time they did that was Smash Wii U.
Yeah.
Or Smash 3DS.
They got leaked anyway.
With the Smash 3DS. I'm trying to remember, like, which were the characters that were, like... to be fair, I think the leaked characters was, like, literally fucking... like Lucina
There's
and
the
a Dark
Matter.
Pit or some shit. I forget.
Was Shulk shown off before the game came out? Or was that after?
Yeah, he was. He was.
Okay.
I think Shulk might have been leaked already, though. I forget.
Officially by them. Like, they showed off Shulk after the game. And then this is the one map that we didn't have marked. Or maybe we did. We did have the caverns. And in the background there, you can see, and we see it later as a stage hazard as they're running through it. The cavernous corners. There is the Golem. Or the Golem. Really depends on what you refer to it as. I don't know how big of a fan of Kirby you are, like, when it comes to remembering stuff or associating things. Like, I'm sure at least I think we talked about this before. This is the new level, Siberian Highway. There's a lot of stuff in this game that keeps reminding me of Sonic. Or Siberian Highway. It seems very unlike Kirby, but sure, we'll leave it. That Golem, every time I see it, I think of that canceled Kirby GameCube game, because that was the only footage we had of it, and I was super obsessed with YouTubers making videos about canceled or secret or hidden games. And long before Return to Dreamland came out, I think the only reason Air Ride was made as quickly as it was is because they already had all the GameCube models, because they planned on making a mainline Kirby game, but it just didn't come to fruition. But every time I see that Golem, I think of that game that never got released. Because there's like a tech demo or maybe gameplay of it, and you could see the Golem in it. And still to this day, I know he's in other Kirby games, but that's always what I associate it with. So when we saw earlier the little sparkle stars that make you go faster, you can collect either by slipstreaming behind your rivals. Oh, and also the minecart we see as a... I think that was Kirby in a minecart. Ooh, this changes some things. Because if Kirby can choose the minecart, then maybe regular Waddle Dee can as well. But this doesn't seem like another racer or a rider. This seems like an NPC. The way he's going so slow. So maybe if you're not playing as Kirby, Kirby just shows up.
Go by frame. That might not even be a Kirby. Okay. Okay.
It certainly looks like a pink puffball.
Yeah, but it's like the shape of it. It might literally just be Kirby, but it does strike me as a little queer that Kirby is
What if
Just
he
like
turns around, he's got a
someone-
different face? It's like a guy that's meant to
Yeah.
look like Kirby, but that may be a
Okay, yeah,
Waddle Do or Waddle Dee.
Keep going, because I think it goes pretty close to the
Oh,
screen. Yep.
you're right. Yeah, I was gonna say the shape of his head. All right, well, we got to the
Yeah,
bottom
like,
of that
like
one.
it looked a little too fat at the bottom, you know?
Yeah, I think it's just the lighting of the cave.
Yeah.
And now we have
And he looked
all
too
of
fat at the bottom.
all of the courses marked that we've seen. Floria Field's cavernous corners, Hyperion Highway, and Mount Amber Falls were shown to us, and then we saw Waterflow Waters in the direct, but it didn't have on the character select screen. It didn't have a name. And then Oval Circuit we saw in some Gamescom footage. The course looks crazy. Where are we right now? I think I have all of that marked. Yeah, describing the star slide technique. That, yeah, you can... This screen specifically, by the way, is just Smash Ultimate. Like,
Yeah,
almost
no, like, literally.
exactly so.
They're like fucking with us.
Shout out Chris. Polite clap for Chris. You think Sakurai's wife also made these menus? I know that's the infamous thing. Oh, wait. Nintendo Switch Online membership sold separately. Okay, so these are just playing with people online. Anyway, the little stars that you can collect by slipstreaming behind a racer, but also if you destroy the racer and break their machine, or at least, like, hit them, you get additional stars and can go even faster. So you incentivize to hit people out of the race, and I think that alone differentiates it from Mario Kart Worlds. We also have the Turbo Star. I think all of the carts... Whoa, Turbo... You know what? I might have to use the Turbo Star. You ever have a game where you're... Slick Star? Where you're already planning what you're going to play as before it comes out? That used to happen when I played Pokemon as a kid, as I would, like... Even before I knew what was in what route, I'd be like, I'm going to use these 6 Pokemon.
Usually I'll have, like, just the starter kind of picked up.
Rocket Star. With the zipper. It's starting to move away. I know this is a really messy document. I'll clean it up later as we get more and more about the game, but this is what I could work with given the allotted time. I think I do kind of like this one, because early on in a game, you're really just picking it based off of aesthetics, like the Rex Wheelie, which looks rad as hell. But you don't really... You gotta find your main. Now, I know Kirby Air Ride has a super... Not a super neat, but like a relatively niche competitive scene. Wouldn't it be hilarious if Sakurai's second game that isn't Smash Bros. Got more competitive support? And wait to see a tier list form afterwards. Battle Chariot. Yeah, that... I was hoping more about what we would learn from this game and this direct would be enough to differentiate it from just a racing game. You know, it wouldn't be... We don't have an F-Zero, so I guess we got Fast Fusion. It wouldn't be Fast Fusion, and it wouldn't be Mario Kart. Although the appeal of F-Zero was survival, where this one is sort of you're playing more on the offensive. And also, I've seen... This is an exaggeration, but the footage looks really fast, and I watched some people play the game at Gamescom and talk about it afterwards. And I think somebody from Nintendo Life said that they started getting, like, motion sickness, and that whoever was in charge of, like, hosting the thing or, like, watching them, you know, just making sure everyone's in their space was like, yeah, man, I'm looking at all these screens, it's making me dizzy. That the game seems to go faster. Oh, this thing, too. This game is just Smash Bros. Can't convince me otherwise. Even if I don't love the game, it'll at least make me think of Smash. Like, it does the little zoom in and the sharp red texture. That you can play a race mode that is a lot like F-Zero, where if you're knocked out, you're just retired and you're out of the race. But he was explaining that you could adjust in-game rules, and you could, one, make this mode, you could turn on destruction mode, or you could slow down the game. And I've heard other people say that the slowed down version feels a lot more like the original Kirby Air Ride. But... you know, the main beef of Kirby Air Ride is the city trial, which he refers to as the main event. I think that's the thing I always hear people talk about in Air Ride. Because if you're just doing the Air Ride mode, this is just a race game. Where do you think he captured this footage? Do you think he did it on an actual GameCube, or...?
That's a good question. I don't know.
We see both a volcano and a little sky sanctuary up here. I thought from this specific render makes Skya, which is the city trial map, look not that big. But then when they're in it, it does seem a lot more big. Like when you're zooming in like this, I think it's another Mario Kart World situation where looking at the map they drew and the map on the actual map that you can't even see other than a mini-map are very different. We have individual areas within Skya, the urban district, the flower field, the plaza, caves. I think there are some that we saw earlier. Well, there's Dale again. Subway station. I think, for the most part, to avoid confusion, forest, there's Wispy Woods, by the way. I think to avoid confusion, Coliseum, I'm going to keep interrupting myself every time something comes up. I don't think anything. There's the Underground Mall. But where's the sea? I don't see, there's the sea. That I think to avoid confusion, all the footage they used in the first half was from the air ride mode, and all the footage they used in the city trial is from the city trial mode. I have to assume so. So I think any courses we saw in the first half that were not listed on the course screen, like we know that.
Ooh, well, you go back. Do you see those blue platforms? I mean, we saw those earlier in a stage that we didn't know.
Oh, this one? These up here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also we have Oval Circuit. But this is more of like twisty roads. But this only appears in the footage, or from the footage we captured from Gamescom, other people have captured. This is part of the city trial mode. You could do all the races from each mode. Or maybe they're trying to differentiate them so you can't. What he's describing here is, which I really appreciate, how you play city trial mode, drive around, swap machines, and power up. The swapping machines, I think I may have just grazed over it too quickly. He showed off, he did little splash screens for all of the machines. However, what you start in City Trial is the compact star. So we have the final star, the final machine we can add to this list, compact star. Now we have everything listed here. All the enemies we saw, all the courses, all the playable characters, and all of the machines. We can close that for now. But this bit, you start on default on the compact star, which is slow and weak and just wimpy altogether. And then you immediately try and jump to a different vehicle. And you've played Kirby Air Ride. You know, you jump on a vehicle and then you start collecting power-ups. And then you are given a stadium mode at the end of it, and your goal is to win that. And once you've won the stadium mode, then you either get... No, wait, no, the stadium mode is the final thing. And what he just showed off there was one of them was a target flight where you shoot your machine and thus your rider into one of the numbers to get the highest points. One of them was an arena fight and one of them was a race. Also, we see all of the alternate costumes. I guess we can go over that now. All the alternate costumes are listed on the Japanese website, but there isn't... I mean, there's I don't know if there is a translation, but there isn't an English website like this. They're just going off of the app. So we can click here. We have Kirby, yellow Kirby. Oh, do we actually see their specials? Hold on. Ah, do we not know green Kirby special? Okay. So they're not showing it to us. Green Kirby, purple Kirby, we saw in the trailer. Also, again, it goes without saying, but these are Smash renders. Blue Kirby has the ice special. There's a gray Kirby. Are these the same? Are these the same colors from Smash Bros? Like, he's got the green and the yellow shoes.
They look pretty similar. Let me see. I assume.
Specifically, I mentioned because, like, King DDD, this might take a little bit to load. His skins in this are not sourced from Kirby games. These are legitimately his Smash alts. The blue one, the pink one, and the lighter blue one.
Yeah. Go back to the Kirby. Go back to Kirby. So there's yellow, green,
purple, blue, gray.
Purple. There's no purple in Smash Ultimate.
Okay, because he's got that Meta Knight ult where his face looks like Meta Knight.
Yeah, okay. But they do have the black and white one.
Yes.
But everything else seems pretty much the same.
Well, what's missing then? Because Smash has 8, and this one only has 7.
So Smash Ultimate has the pink Kirby, the yellow Kirby, which is here, a blue Kirby, which is here, a red Kirby, which is here, and then there's a green Kirby, which is here, and there's the black and white Kirby, which is here, and then there's this kind of orangish kind of Kirby that isn't here, and then there's the Meta Knight Kirby.
The Meta Knight one.
Editor.
Yeah, go ahead, put all those renders up there. That's what we're paying for. And we have the DDD renders, but specifically Meta Knight, who only has 2 alternate costumes that are Dark Meta Knight and Galactonite. I mean, obviously this is not exactly what Galactonite looks like, but this is exactly what Dark Meta Knight looks like. And all 3 of these skins are in Smash Ultimate. You can go ahead, editor, and put the Smash Ultimate renders on screen as well. The bling, 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 have them jump up, Superstar, Meta Knight, Dark Meta Knight, Galactonite. And now we have, not only do we have a Bandana Waddle Dee render that looks so much like a Smash render, but he's also got an official alternate costume now. that even changes the ribbon. This is getting me excited for Smash Bros. So Kirby has the most alts because a lot of them, or maybe if the majority have 2 or 3, like Waddle Doo here has an alternate black skin. Chef Kawasaki has a Shadow Kawasaki. So maybe because there's 4 different Kirbys, each of the Kirbys have their own alternate skin, like an Olimar and Alf situation. Like, the pink alt is purple, the yellow alt is green, the red alt is gray. But then we would still need another Kirby. Knuckle Joe also has... He just looks like a guy now. They made him brunette. I'm gonna go over to Cappy. Cappy has a poison. It's interesting how many of these alts make them seem like they're evil. Like, I know some of them are enemies, but they're being corrupted. We'll get to that then. What does the other Starman look like? Okay, no, you can't corrupt Starman. It's impossible. It could either be red, ruby, or silver. Magalore has the drained Magalore, which I think is from a Kirby game. And then Susie has... Yeah, a darker Susie.
Little Susie.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, wait a minute. There might be something here. That I have this...
I don't think there's anything here.
We have the character select screen here, and potentially more. I mean, there are additional tabs. These... Ignore that. That's not what I wanted to look at. Or that. What am I looking for here? Is it here? Yes. All of the Dream Friends that are in Kirby Star Allies that you could play as. You know, you have your Kirby, your Bandana Waddle Dee, your King Dedede, your Meta Knight, your Gooey, your Dark Meta Knight, your Susie, your Magalore. That there are a couple missing. There's the 3 imps. There's... I'm going to show my ignorance here. I know Mark's name for sure. And I know Adeline is the one with the paintbrush.
I'm surprised Adeline isn't in the game yet.
Yeah. Well, that raises some questions and concerns, right? That if you're thinking of the Kirby cast, obviously I really want Marks. I really like Marks. You think of these characters. This is at least recognized in Star Allies as the Kirby characters. I don't know who this is from because I saw it reposted on YouTube Shorts and TikTok, and I don't know. But this image, somebody found Kine, which is the little fish guy down here, in Kirby Air Riders. I don't think this means he's going to be a playable character. It does mean he could appear as an enemy like the other enemies, because he seems to just be splashing around in the pirate ship or the sea part of the open city trial world in Skya.
Mm-hmm.
Do you hold any allegiances to Kine? Are you disappointed?
I would predict he's an enemy, but not playable.
Right. So do you think any of these people could
limbs.
be additional playable characters, or do you think they'll appear in some other way in the game?
Well, I hope that the I already forgot their names. The Kirby 64 characters are in.
Adeline and the varied one.
Yeah. I love the hamster to be in. I like the bird.
Yeah, these are the 3 from the 2nd or 3rd game. I'm gonna do more Kirby research for next week. I'll go over all the Kirby lore after Starcross World. I didn't go over it, but Gooey's alternate costume makes him completely blacked out, or darker blue. Now, I don't know if you know anything about the story of Kirby, but Gooey is a piece of dark matter. And throughout the game, throughout all his appearances in Kirby, he gets lighter and lighter as he gets more friendly. Do you know anything about dark matter in Kirby?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna open it in a different tab. Let me get a picture of dark matter. This is just for later. I'm gonna save this. So dark matter blade is what it's called. Yeah, this is dark matter. Okay, well, I'll move this here for now. Oh, well, don't worry about that. We'll save that for later. But those are the alternate skins. Jumping back over here, we now see all of these alternate skins. I'm not suspecting another... I'm not going to get my hopes up Mario Kart World Style. I mean, I'm already really excited for this. But seeing Mario Kart World Style, when we saw... I assumed there would be alternate costumes for all of the tertiary enemies in Mario Kart World. I'm not expecting that this time. I got my hopes up for a Dry Bones alternate skin, and it does not exist. So yeah. I assume whatever we see is what we get. We see the Firecracker, not ability, but an item you can pick up. Also explaining how online and local wireless work. That you could play with 16 players online. Not exactly the huge battle royale I theorized early on. But also, this is another example of what I was talking about. The enemies appear in the squares. So I don't think Blade Knight is going to be a playable racer. Not for sure, but I don't think it's likely. This is the compact star he was referring to earlier. The weak and gross one. Yeah, there it is. Maybe I should have waited for the splash screen, but we have the compact star. And there's more info on the compact star that I think he brings up later. That you could either, for this in the city trial, hit the Y button to board a vehicle that you're close to, or you could just crash into it and you'll immediately fall onto it. That's what the special button's for. Earlier he said, unfortunately we've added a second button, so he really dragged his feet about that.
He really is like that. This really is a Kirby game.
He loves keeping it simple, and I think that's what's. I know we keep bringing up Smash Bros, but I think that is what's lost in a lot of Smash clones. Even like everyone hypes up Rivals of Aether 2 as like, oh, this is the big one that people should support. But I don't like that it has a special button, an attack button, and then a heavy button. Like, there's 3 different attacks.
Yeah.
Like, I think what makes Smash work is how simple it is. And also, if a character, like the Starman alternate skin here, has done a lot of damage to their machine and it's about to be destroyed, you can crash into them and steal it, and then it'll be back to full health again. So you can steal rivals' machines and collect all the different power-ups. I didn't write down all the different types of power-ups because when you're playing Air Ride, you're really just picking up anything you could see in a lackadaisical fashion. Throwing caution to the wind. The quick little spinny showing off here, yeah, that is the movement where you do the stick. And if I did not watch this direct or go through the tutorial, I don't think I would have suspected that. There are some games that you could just hit buttons and figure stuff out, but then sometimes it's hit down on the D-pad. It's like, who would think this is not intuitive? Not that waggling the stick isn't intuitive. I imagine a visual is going to show up on screen now when you do it. But that's Smash Bros. Based off of Kirby. Always the idea of the design is to make it simple. And I think the issue that makes Kirby Air Ride not specifically a good Kirby game or marked as a good Kirby game, at least to people who don't play it, is that it isn't as easy to get into. Now he's describing the different events that can happen at random throughout the course. You're on City Trial for 5 minutes. I don't know how long it was in Air Ride. I saw some of the footage of Gamescom and people talking about it, and I think the same guy from Nintendo Life said that 5 minutes felt like too long, but I think it'll go by really quickly. One of the events, the items grow bigger. One of them, the Gordos start raining down. Secret rooms can open. The short race and the Dust Up Derby, which are just impromptu races that appear in the middle of the map that you can race to, and if you win, you get more power-ups, and if you get there early, you accumulate power-ups while you wait. But this is also an optional race. If you're playing City Trial and you don't want to risk it and you don't want to waste time and you can go collect items while everyone else is doing the race, you can choose not to. So I think the pirate ship we saw earlier is part of this. And even this road. Yeah, they all appear as ghosts if you're not in the race. So if you don't make it to the race in time, or you choose not to do the race in time, but I think only the winner gets all these power-ups. Maybe whoever comes in second and third gets a little less. And then the Dust-Up Derby is where you just beat the shit out of other people. I do love the little Smash Bros. Zoom in. The stronger ones. And it goes until your machine is destroyed. But then you just spawn outside and your machine is totally fine. Like, you don't have to go find a new one. But again, by winning this, you do get additional power-ups. Alright, it looks like that person there got power-ups for just participating. So maybe if you win, it scales with how many power-ups you get. Try to wait for more events to show up. Oh, like the boss fights that appear around the map, like Krakow. And I don't know which boss fights appeared in the original, but seeing Dynablade in 3D, I love this.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love Dynablade. I mean, Superstar Ultra is my favorite Kirby game, for obvious reason. And that was, if we're going to keep talking about Smash Bros., one of the appeals of Smash Bros. Is like, I imagine you as a Mother fan seeing some of those characters and stages in 3D because you're likely not going to see them in any other context.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the things that made me the most excited about Smash Bros. As a kid. It's like, okay, this is the only time that we see, like, a Nintendo-approved artistic interpretation of anything from Earthbound. You know? I
And
love that. I love
these
that.
screenshots are from specifically the Nintendo Today app, so they're technically not in the Direct.
Aw.
So I think there are going to be images that show up there. And then this is also from the Nintendo Today app, just showing images of the 4-player split screen. So split screen, he says earlier, oh, in the original Kirby Air Ride, you could do 4-player split screen. But now in Air Ride mode, you could do 6 players. But that doesn't really explain how split screen works. Split screen also only max out at 4. I think 6-player split screen, even though TVs are pretty wide nowadays, is a little too much. So you can max out at
definitely.
4. But you could also play with 8 Nintendo Switches if you all gather in a circle together. I don't know if you need the game, if everyone needs the game to be able to do that. A lot of the game share, game chat stuff is unclear. But while we're going over the Nintendo Today app, this was also shown off, just little highlights about the different copy abilities. I do think it's going to be a Smash Blog, Smash Dojo situation where maybe we'll just get dropped information that is actually new, but we're slowly getting stuff we've seen so far. This one I got from the Kirby Informer Twitter account. I didn't see this one posted anywhere, and you can't access the Nintendo Today app on your browser. So I just took this screenshot from my phone. The update they had earlier today on the Nintendo Today app is the Stadium Drag Race. So just going into additional detail about stuff we saw in the Direct. But here we see the back sprite, or the back of the Dark Kawasaki skin. Do we have anything else on these accounts? Yeah, just additional images shown off by the Kirby Today app. Or, sorry, the Nintendo Today app. I'm stoked to see Dynablade, but understanding this in the context of Smash does put a lot of things into perspective. Like, oh yeah, I guess having a boss appear in the middle of the stage is fun in Air Ride, but it's not fun in, like, Smash 4. There's the meteors crashing down. But I could see what he was going for with, like, destroying the yellow devil. And there's the secret room we saw earlier. I think we're about to get to the unidentified pillars. I think, yeah, you probably get a payout from destroying it. In one of the Gamescom footage rips, or the gameplay footage, we see a little thing up here at the bottom of the screen that says, oh, this player destroyed or rivals destroyed the Great Pillar. So it probably does just produce a lot of power-ups. I don't know what making the power-ups gigantic does. They probably just are stronger power-ups then, right?
Yeah,
I would
and they
think
just give you
so.
more. It's like instead of like 1, you get like 3 or
Mhm.
something.
But it's cool to see huge, and again, more emblematic.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it looks a lot like more Sonic stuff. Going through the portals and collecting additional items. I do love the little avatar character, but instead of just having the blank one, you give him
Cute
a
little
lip.
hair.
Yeah, it's like when they draw Charlie Brown with hair. What am I at here? I think what I have listed. Why do I have this specifically marked down? Air glider? I think it's for the stage. Oh no, it's because I didn't. Yeah, this was the rocket one. So these are the different stadium modes that appear. That's the crux of the city trial, is you're collecting power-ups and your machine to compete. And air glider is different from the races you can get at the end, as we know with the circuit that just goes in a circle, the oval circuit. You could either get one of the dartboard ones, one of the fighting ones, the arena. Well, there's 2 different types of fighting ones. There's one where you fight. Well, he's going to go over the stadiums now. The Kirby Melee. Also, I saw some people saying that the song they play in Kirby Melee is just the Battlefield song from Melee, but actually the Kirby Melee song from Air Ride is a remix version of the Battlefield theme from Melee, and this is a remix version of that. So it's sort of the Battlefield theme, but it's also sort of the Kirby Air Ride theme. So Kirby Melee, you're not attacking your rivals, you're seeing how many enemies you can defeat. So it seems like we thought earlier, that enemies are going to be a bigger part of this in this giant Blade Knight. Air Glider seems like a race, but it's more about seeing how far you can go compared to the other rivals and racers. It's like the home run contest. Then a drag race, you're just racing. So some of the courses we saw, like this one in particular, doesn't look like, even though this looks like the Siberian Highway, some of them don't look like the Air Ride courses, but there might be race courses that are specific to the city trial mode, like how in Mario Kart Worlds there are some little courses around the overworld, and the Dust Up Derby is when you're fighting other players. Skydive, you jump off of the cliff. try and get the most amount by going through it. Again, it's more of like a party game. Gourmet Race is an elaborate callback to Kirby itself, trying to collect the most amount of food. I think these are the different stadium modes, which is interesting. I think because they highlight all of these different stadium modes, it makes it even more interesting that something like the oval circuit, well, that's just a specific stage that is both a drag race. There's different levels or different courses. I think the Dust Up Derby or one of the oval circuit is one of the Grand Prix or the drag race. What he's describing here is, I think, to my understanding, was not present in the original Air Ride, that what I thought looking at this earlier was, oh, it's going to be like Mario Kart. Like whatever stage or whatever stadium you pick and the most people pick, it's either going to randomize through them or whoever votes for the most, it's going to land on that one. But actually what it is in the city trial, whoever picks what game, and you don't know who picks what stadium until you're in the stadium, it isn't actually randomized between these. You go to the stadium you pick, but you're only competing against the other people that picked that stadium.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it took me a while to understand that, but that is what it's saying. So there's a little bit of mind games going on here. That's what he's saying, strategy and mind games. That you want to, one, pick the stadium you're best at, but also, two, pick the stadium where there might be the least amount of threats. This would be a fun game to play LAN with a ton of people in a room. Maybe 16 is probably too much. This is just footage of him playing City Trial. There's a bit where he says, whoa, this game's wild. He's just really excited to play it in general. You really just wanted to be a Let's Player. I do. You're right, though. There is something to the presentations that I do miss. It's got such a zest for it. Oh, let me actually get to that specific point. Is going around the City Trial, and we get additional information, not because of the stuff we see, but rather the stuff we don't see. He went over the pickups, or he's going to go over the pickups later. We saw the firecracker launcher earlier. They aren't copy abilities, but they are little weapons you can pick up. Should be around here, I believe. Yeah, this Gordo pickup right here, which just, you can place a Gordo right in front of you. And then there's a little camera that stays on it if anyone else runs into it. And we saw the Gordo, we saw earlier. There's probably more than that, but I think those are the main ones we see. Again, there's a lot to discover within the game. I also can't, we can't show it. I mean, I'm sure we could, but just because for the podcast part of things, we wouldn't. But when he gets into a dust-up derby, when he's fighting people, there's a specific little sound that plays when you kill someone, and I think the sound design on this game in particular is just fantastic. It sounds satisfying to kill other people.
Yeah, no, they've never been bad at that, or at least they've. I'm trying to think, like, do I love the melee sound effects? I think I do.
I do, yeah.
They do. I mean, at least in Ultimate, like, they did fantastic.
The metal clangs. Yeah, I think that's what people hype Sakurai up as. That's the fear of, like, having someone else direct Smash games. Is that there will be a lot of stuff that might be better under someone who isn't Sakurai, but also there's so many little details that he gets hung up on details. Yeah. What was the Dust Up Derby? Let me just say, does he still have, yeah, there's the subtitles. He's flying over towards the volcano. Did he already do it?
This is quite nice. You can see a volcano.
Well, he's leaving the volcano. It says you can enter it too, but I'll keep its contents a secret. So I don't think we saw that in any of the gameplay footage.
I'm so glad they didn't dub him this time. It's kind of fun, like, hearing his, because I feel like they used to dub him, but it's kind of fun just
they stopped doing it in the pandemic because they're like, we don't have time or money or effort to do this.
Oh, yeah. Is that why? I forget.
Yeah. And then here, he sort of hit something on the ceiling. And that's another thing. I bumped into something above me, but let's ignore that. Like, he's purposefully leaving stuff out. But I think, let me make sure I get this right. Yeah, it's the first one at 3:41. The Nintendo Life footage. if it'll play. You can see him ramp off this and then go into the sky arena that just has a bunch of power-ups here. I mean, that's probably going to be most of the secrets, is that there's just... Oh, sorry. There's just power-ups strewn throughout it. But that is what that little sky arena is. And he's going over the different events. I guess we can go over the footage I found as well, because that's where we sourced the oval circuit. I think this is... Assuming this is the same one. That, yeah, this is an event we don't see in the direct. Rare boxes appeared all over. The events, of course, appear at the bottom of the screen and then just kind of spawn around the map. And they have items within them. Oh, God. And this guy's specifically trying to fight Wispy. I don't know what you gain from that. Classic Game Explain. Is it the same video? It might be this video. I want to make sure I got this right. Yeah, there's two different ones. This one is the full city trial from Game Explain, and then the city trial total domination from Game Explain. I'm sure we could see it on the actual... Oh, no, they show it on the Japanese website. But as I saw these originally in this footage... You know, when it appears in the corner that they're going to do their special, we see the Starman special that I guess makes him invincible, which is a funny little reference to Starman from Mario, or just makes him go really fast. Or this is a reference to Invincible, where he's flying through things really quickly. I actually want to look on the Japanese website for the actual footage, because I didn't know they had their own clean footage. And then here we see the Gooey special attack, which, like I brought up earlier, turns into a version of Dark Matter. This is what the Dark Matter boss fight looks like. Or no, sorry, in the Dark Matter boss fight in the Kirby game, Kirby, it's a shoot-'em-up level, so Kirby's on a warp star shooting stars. But if you have the player 2 playing as well, Gooey will become this, like he'll look like Dark Matter. So even more little Kirby references to Gooey. I keep wanting to say Bluey, to Gooey being a piece of Dark Matter. What does it look like over here? Okay, no, we do see that. So we have a whole page of all of their specials. What's the Knuckle Joe special then? Punches, of course. Sakurai loves his constant array of punches. That's the spicy... Oh, the beam ability? Okay, so beam is a power-up or a copy ability that we don't see in the game. So it's possible that beam may just be exclusive to him. We know the Cappy one. We've now seen the Starman one. Surely someone's going to translate it at some point, because I do want to know what it says. Magalore's power uses the... Or he shoots backwards to make him go faster. Susie's power uses the jets, like that of a Robobot. And then we don't have the power-ups for the green Kirby or the purple Kirby yet. All right, well, we don't need that anymore. So that was the additional stuff I wanted to show off there. Now we can wrap up this direct. I was interested in a lot of the stuff that he specifically was being coy about. Like, oh, we won't. We'll simply just leave this out. Purposely being aloof about it. But yeah, he does say you can enter the volcano. We don't know what it looks like in there. More exploration. I think this is one of the games that when you're playing it, it's going to seem very... What he does here is crazy, where he just completely boosts out of the level to avoid the Gordos. And I wonder how far out of the barriers you can go, and if you fall into the clouds. This skybog looks beautiful as well. I didn't even think about that. Is it here? Let me actually go to where I marked. 4039. We're about there. So this is what he's, yeah, this is the single race option, and this is one of the air ride courses, the Mount Amber Falls. And I think what he's going to show off here is, yeah, only 4 people chose the target flight 1, so only 4 of them are going to compete. And we see the ranking here as well. I wonder if it... Yeah, does it appear in this subtitle? Yeah. Knuckle Joe is riding a Compact Star. And we saw earlier that Compact Star is just the default one you start on. But if your machine is broken and you don't have a machine before entering the stadium, you're just given the Compact Star, which is purposefully a really sluggish and weak machine. It makes sense that everyone else with the Wing Star chose the... What's it called? Whichever, the dartboard one, they all use that. There's another pickup with the fire wings, and there's the firecracker as well, the firecracker shooter. I think we only see 3 of these pickup powers. But what he's mentioning here is that if you pick up the powers, not the copy ability itself, but the different pickups, it goes in your reserve. And you save it for when you lose this one. I don't know what this pickup power is, but we saw Gooey using it earlier, where you just throw these sparks at people. He just calls them shots. I don't know what it's a reference to or what it is, but I suppose we'll see at some point. There's another pickup. Where we're at now, we're doing the drag race, actually. Oh yeah, this pickup, which is the prediction codex, which will tell you what the next contest or event is going to be and what you should get for it, because there are specific machines that are better suited for that. But some of them are just straight up misinformation, and you have to look at the text, because if it fades out, it'll say something like that, like made you look, if it's a fake
What the
one.
fuck?
Yeah, it's
I forgot
purposefully
about that.
leading you astray. So this is the game mode he's describing now. The different stadiums at the end of City Trial. That if there are a large subsect or a large group of people that pick the same game, that they'll be split into 2 separate games. But if you're the only person, if you are the one person to pick a stadium mode and no one else in your game plays it, you just win by default. So I actually don't know. I guess they keep doing that until people are eliminated. I wonder how you crown the actual like #1 winner. And here's the oval circuit. Does it? I'm not super tuned with Kirby Air Ride, so you need to make it up for me. Is it you're in the city and then you do a stadium, and then you're in the city and you do a stadium? Is it just one stadium, or do you keep going as people get slowly eliminated?
I don't know. I was 4.
Okay. Well, it got down to these final 3. Maybe it does like slowly whittle it down. And then it gets down to the final 3 or final 4, and you pick one.
That's what I would assume.
And then it does randomly pick one. I guess you could turn it off if you like. I don't know why you would want to do that. So yeah, you do keep going. This makes the game longer as well, because when I played Air Ride, not only did I not understand what was going on, but it also, the games themselves seemed to go really fast. It's talking about how the other game modes have upgraded. Now he's just going to talk about the main theme, and it's going to go over the lyrics of it all. And yeah, this is where he announced that it's on the Nintendo Today app. So there are multiple tracks. Editor, real quick, if you want to play like 5-second snippets of all the tracks they posted on the Nintendo Music app, do it now. Wow, what some nice music that was.
That was awesome.
I like that one song in particular that goes that one way.
You know, the song with the instruments.
Yeah, with the
and
music and
melody.
whatnot, with the percussion too. It's in there. So it was going over the different modes: City Trial and Air Ride mode, and now we have that tutorial training mode that we don't know anything about. Top Ride, meaning it's either not in this game or they're reserving it for something else. I hope there is a form of collectible in the game. That's always been a big thing about Kirby, because the previous game that isn't a remake was Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and I know Sakurai didn't work on that, but that game had a built-in gacha game into it that you could use coins you earned in the game to unlock figures. I always like having a collectible, especially in the WarioWare games, where aside from playing with friends, there's no real incentive to keep playing over and over.
Yeah.
So, earlier, we looked at Gooey and his tie to dark matter and enemies strewn throughout the stage, and now we saw Kine, characters that are potentially hidden throughout the map and maybe secret unlockable characters. The direct ends with this showcase here. Well, it shows off all the things we've seen. The Air Ride, the City Trial, the machines, the riders, the stadiums, the wheelie, the bosses, the events. I thought that was the Halberd for a second. When I first saw it, I was excited. And then the trailer comes to a close with this. Almost reminiscent of a Smash Bros. Reveal. But they're riding a machine, which leads me to believe they are a rider. Now, some say that this is a fully new character because it has that engine built out of him. And it sort of looks like a Return to Dreamland. But I think it looks like... Where did I put this? Yeah, Dark Matter.
Dark Matter, yeah.
It looks like his sword version in the original game. Before he just becomes a amorphous Dark Matter. It does... It sort of looks like him, right?
It has like a certain kind of spikiness. It has like a cloakiness kind
And
of
he's got
thing.
Dedede's
The eye is
crown.
different.
Maybe this
I
is
mean, I
dark
guess
matter
there's- I guess-
from a timeline without Kirby.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely be a bit of a. Oh wait, that might be. It might be like a hodgepodge of characters.
Oh,
Now that I
maybe.
think about it, with the DDD hat.
Yeah, because he's got the Kirby and Meta Knight eyes. It could likely be an entirely new character. But I saw different speculations of is this going to be like a boss fight? Is this teasing a story mode? Is this an unlockable rider that you can play as? Is this going to be the antagonist of Kirby Air Riders? I was hoping for either a huge mode to make me keep playing online with my friends or a dedicated campaign. I would like to see that. So what do you think this is?
I think it's going to be some sort of, if not like a really elaborate story campaign, it's probably going to be something kind of added to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely not. I doubt it would be very elaborate, but it'll definitely be something. Yeah, I mean,
I just think it.
I'm trying to think.
I think
it looks cool too. This is some real,
yeah, I was
this is
gonna
some
say
real, like,
there's a
subspace
specific
emissary shit.
There's a specific like dichotomy in Kirby characters that I like. Like when I said, "Oh, Meta Knight's one of my favorites designs," is that it is a really cool design, but it also doesn't lean too hard into being like an anime boy or like, "Oh, I'm Shadow the Hedgehog." Like it walks the line between looking like a Kirby character and looking really cool, and I think this character also walks that line where it looks as edgy and cool as a Kirby character is allowed to look, and that's why I prefer those designs.
Yeah.
He seems to have his own machine. I thought it was wheelie at first. They did make a deal earlier about saying, oh, there's different types of rides. Like there's stars and there's wheels. And we only saw 2 wheels. So the reveal or the release date, which we didn't have before, we now know is November 20th, 2025. And the game is $70. And that is the extent of everything I wanted to go over for Kirby Air Rider. At least when the Direct or Kirby Air Riders. So this is probably the holiday game then, right? People are always talking about a holiday. This is the November game at the very least.
Yeah.
There was other stuff shown off at Gamescom. Like, I'm gonna save this real quick. The Lego Batman game, and there's a new Bubsy game, and those are both interesting in their own
movement
right.
swap.
Right. Yeah, of course. It does look like. I said this earlier in the server with my patrons that the new Bubsy game looks like whenever someone on Roblox or some other fan game thing makes a Sonic stage where Sonic controls really good, but the landscape is barren and there's nothing to do. That's what the Bubsy game looks and feels like. It looks like one of those Sega Hire This Man games.
Yeah, no, it looks like a Hire This Man game, but I guess, like any game that isn't made, by I mean, maybe that's just me discarding anything that's not like part of the old guard. I might just be closed-minded.
I'm just cynical about open worlds or big maps if there's nothing to do in them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think there's a lot of good reasons to be sick and tired of butt maps, I don't know. Yeah, it's especially when, a lot of the world it's just kind of it's just a grassland with pillars, It's, not terrible, but it's easy to not be that into it or kind of
as far as this Direct goes. I was already gonna get the game, but I feel more. It's the same thing with the footage we got of Pokemon Legends ZA. That now I'm a little bit more excited for the later half of the year for the slate of games of getting Pokemon in October and Kirby Air Riders in November. None of them are going to be as big as Bonanza for me. I think I have to take time out to like specifically play these games, but they do look. I'm excited about them. I forgot that these are characters and franchises that I like. I think that Hyrule Warriors game is coming out in November or like winter. But anything else, again, I don't know where Metroid Prime is, but if Kirby Air Riders is the game releasing at the end of the year, then that's fine. I feel like people really hold up the idea of a holiday game, but it's entirely possible that families that were going to buy the console for their kid around Christmas, the holiday game is just Mario Kart. It doesn't really matter when it comes out. Maybe we'll get.
I mean, I think that this is probably gonna be the quote unquote holiday game. And
Mhm.
although it seems maybe a little bit underwhelming, I mean, I just think that, you know, you're not gonna have, you know, the biggest thing ever every single December, every single November. And I mean, I think we're pretty good for this year. I mean, we definitely have Pokemon, we definitely have Kirby, maybe we have Metroid. I'm not totally sure about that, but
I think it's possible
We'll have
they
a
could
good time.
also update Mario Kart Worlds and like add some stuff to it, and that'll be like they'll do it like late in the year and be like, "Whoa, you can buy this game now with the Switch. You buy the bundle because there's new stuff." I think it would be a
I could see
mistake
that
to
happening.
have.
I could see that happening with the next direct. They kind of announced some new stuff for Mario Kart World.
I think it'd be a mistake to have paid DLC for Mario Kart Worlds because it already got a lot of bad press for being $80 if you don't get the bundle.
Yeah.
So
Though
I
I don't
think
know if that really hit their bottom line, so they might, you know, still do it.
yeah, maybe. But I think it'd be better if they, like the other Mario sports games. I mean, people have been saying a lot of Donkey Kong characters, like, oh, they should add this to tie in with this game. There's a lot you can do. Maybe at some point down the line, I feel like I'm maybe like 7 or 6 layers away. We'll have an episode where we just talk about Bonanza when we both have like finished it.
I've beaten it. I don't know what you have.
I have not yet. I'm meticulously making my way through, but we'll cover that another
okay.
time. For next time, sorry for getting all the Kirby names and lore wrong. I'm gonna do a lot of research between, and then I'm gonna give a proper set lore timeline, explaining Kirby lore, and also talking about Starcross Worlds because I know that's gonna have something somewhere. I know Forgotten Land had a lot of that, so we'll get into that next week. But at least for this week, in covering the Kirby Air Riders Direct presented by Masahiro Sakurai, I have been your co-parent BH Ultra.
And I have been your co-parent, Switchy.
How's Pocketail doing, do you think?
Good. I mean, definitely have been able to put a little bit more work into it this past week, just, you know, more than usual, but it's every single day.
Yeah. I gotta lock in on the thing I'm working on so I can like get it done and up by the end of August. But the test I sent up has been blocked, like not even just claimed, but blocked a lot. So I'm gonna
great.
try. There's a lot I'm trying to do. Quentin was helping me out. I'm gonna see what I can do. But worst comes to worst, and I know this sounds like so anti-consumer. I don't want to do this. Worst comes to worst, on release date, I'll release the video on Patreon. Like if it's not on YouTube,
for sure.
I'll find something to do. But ideally, that video will be done by then. And I was gonna do a teaser on like the 20th or something, announcing what the video was. But now I don't like, you know, I'm not set on a release date yet. So maybe it'll just be like, hey, this video is out now. And maybe on the release day, if it's not up on YouTube, I'll make a short video being like, hey, this is where the video is. You should do this thing, so on and so forth. But as of right now,
that's not a bad idea.
I'll see you next week, and I'm going to hang up.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye. Can't wait to play that Kirby theme again. Where's that one Kirby track?
Don't you think it's strange, these feelings that I've gained, fall in my heart as if like snow fell from the sky, showing what could be a season, simple and clear, with new memories we can hold tight. From when we met, I think my heart had been set, not sure what could come to be, singing my heart's melody. I can't stop it yet, not if I try. So I reach for you and all the things of you. to the stars.